The things that you run from as a kid, the things you're most insecure about, can end up being your biggest strengths as an adult. I was always an oddball little guy. I always grew up thinking that being the weirdo loner kid was something I had to fix about myself. I did not have friends throughout school, and when I was young, I hated the feeling of being the odd one out. I hated being perceived as the loner. So naturally, to try and escape the feeling of being judged, misunderstood, and bullied, I started to do things to try and fit in with the people around me. And in attempts to do so, I definitely did some things I was not necessarily comfortable with and or proud of, just so I wasn't the odd one out. Looking back at it now, fitting in was actually the problem. I remember in middle school, I wanted to fit in so badly that I started selling jewel pods to try and fit in with the cool kids. I was always bullied in school for being that loner, depressed emo kid, and the people I always wanted to fit in with was the cool kid gangster crowd. You know what kids I'm talking about, like those local drug dealers or like the wannabe SoundCloud rappers. Being from New York, so many kids thought they were from the streets. Like they acted as if they were in the midst of gang violence, as if they were catching bodies for people looking at them wrong, or as if they were posted up in the trap house all day. But in reality, they grew up in a good neighborhood suburb with two loving parents. Anyway, there was this one kid in particular at the time. He always had mad girls chatting with him. He always was friends with the older kids and always seemed to have connections. He always found a way to get whatever he wanted around school. I remember sitting there and thinking to myself, I have to get to know this kid. He seems like that guy. We ended up having a class together, and one day I overheard him complaining how he can never reliably get Jewel pods. As most of you probably know, back in 2017, Juul was on a generational run. Big nicotine companies found a way to get a new generation hooked, especially kids. Mind you, I was 13 at the time. My immediate thought to this, as dumb as it sounds, was, okay, this is a perfect opportunity to get in with the cool kid crowd. I can become the plug for the school by selling Juul pods. I was able to pull this off because I do have an older brother who's around 5 to 6 years older than me, and at the time he knew people who were able to get him Juul pods. So surprise, surprise, little old me started slinging Juul pods to get him and his cool kid friends to start talking to me. When I started making sales for them, it worked. They were chopping it up with me, and I started to talk to the people that I wanted to talk to. But I was doing something that could get me into a lot of trouble. Getting caught doing what I was doing most likely would end up in me being expelled. It doesn't help that we were making the sales in the hallway during the rush of switching classes. Like everyone was around us. Literally anyone could have snitched on us at any moment. And secondly, I was doing something stupid to try and get validation from others to hopefully try and become part of the cool kids and be their friends. Mind you, the people I was seeking validation from were straight up losers. Like I don't know how else to put it. That story is me painting a picture to show how it did not work. I was the plug for the school for a little bit of clout. Yeah, people knew me and talked about me, but obviously no one was really my friend. When was the last time you did something to try and fit in with those around you, and how did it make you feel? Because for me, I felt like the biggest dumbass. When I realized how stupid selling Juul pods was to try and fit in with cool kids, and I stopped, everyone who thought I was cool stopped talking to me because I wasn't giving them what they wanted. Obviously, these aren't authentic people to surround myself with. I wasn't doing what I wanted or believed in. I was doing something stupid to get validation from bums. Being a kid fitting in seems like the only right option. You have this need to not be the odd one out. At the time, it feels like your whole world revolves around that. We think people's opinions define us, but in the grand scheme of things, it does not matter at all. At that age, everything feels so important because you haven't had time to live life. Like if you're 13 years old and you're going through a breakup or you get grounded or you can't chill with the gang, you think that your world is collapsing. Your life is over. How dare my parents not let me go out on a school night? But that's because life hasn't given you enough time to put those types of situations into perspective. I started realizing doing what everyone else was doing, especially to try and fit into a crowd, wasn't going to get me to where I wanted to be. Trying to blend in with others instead of trying to figure out what I wanted to put my all into wasn't going to make me feel content with myself. To this day, I still don't know what I want out of life, but I knew exactly what I didn't want out of life. So I started to do the opposite of what everyone was doing. Whatever the latest trend or fad was, I wanted to do the opposite. I was doing what I thought would make me better. Anytime there was some sort of trend or fad going on, there's usually a sign to stay away from it. For example, TikTok, bro. When TikTok started popping off in 2017, 2018, I knew something was up. Listen, we're all victims of social media. I mean, like 60% of the world is on this shit on a daily basis. But you can't tell me something wasn't wrong when TikTok went on its generational run. You have girls around the streets doing these crazy dances, thirst trapping the bros. You have people rage baiting you all day, and then you have some of the most cursed memes known to man flooding the minds of millions for hours a day. Anyway, I'm getting sidetracked. At some point, it didn't start to click in my brain that some of the most happy, fulfilled people in life were just built different. They were doing things to set themselves apart from others. I mean, think about it. Look at people like Gandhi, Nelson Mandela, or even Einstein, like some of the most influential people in human history. I know these are extreme examples, but they weren't doing necessarily what was cool or following the mentality of what others believed. Instead, they were focusing on what they believed mattered, even when it went against the ideologies of many. By sticking to their principles and putting in the work towards their goals, they ended up shaping the world around them rather than trying to fit into it. Dude, Gandhi and Nelson Mandela were so different at the time, they were put in jail for the ideologies and their principles. But what good would they have been to society if they just did what everyone else was doing? I was tired of pretending, so I finally started doing what I believed in, saying what I truly felt, and being authentic to myself. I didn't care if people made fun of me anymore because I wasn't trying to impress them. I was only trying to impress myself. The things I was most insecure about when I was a kid started to become my strengths in the present, and this is when your personality truly starts to shine. One day in school, I was in the cafeteria reading a book during lunch period all alone. I had the whole table to myself. No one wanted to sit with me. There was tumbleweeds rolling on the floor. One of the most popular girls in school comes up to me and sits down, and the first thing out of her mouth is, "Why are you reading that book by yourself?" And before I can even answer and get the words out of my mouth, she goes, "Are you like depressed or something? Who sits by themselves during lunch reading a book?" And walked away. Now, at the time, that shit had me in my bag. I felt like such a loser. But now, I'm enjoying time to myself. Leave me alone so I can get back to my I survived the Battle of Gettysburg, oh. The very thing I hated, being a loner, was now becoming my favorite thing of all. I loved being alone. I still do. It's time to let my brain quiet down and enjoy the present moment. When I started to implement all these things, started to be authentic, so many more people started to respect me. It felt like life went from hard mode to easy mode. Finding true, real friends that I could connect with was way easier. Talking to girls became way easier. I didn't feel like I was the jester meme. And being happy became so much easier. There wasn't this constant thought loop of what are others around me thinking? How do I blend in more to be normal? I wasn't pretending anymore. There was this weight lifted off of my shoulders. The truth is, though, no matter what, you're going to have people who look down on you or judge you for being you. Trying to avoid judgment entirely is a losing game. You're not going to win. Someone's always going to have something to say. I'm happy I was able to learn from these lessons the hard way at a young age, but kids are not the only people susceptible to this. There are many grown adults who are out there and suppress themselves so they don't get judged. But when you're not being a genuine, authentic person, people aren't dumb. They can see it from a mile away. No one's going to respect you for being fake. Not being true to yourself sets off this feeling of weakness towards the ones around you. It sets off this feeling that you don't have the ability to have your own thought process and emotions. You don't even know your identity, you're just copying others. The thing that I find most crazy is the grown-ass adults who still judge people for not doing what is considered normal. Some people may view normal as the correct way to do things, but that mentality is stupid. They're just insecure with themselves to the point that they can't even be themselves. People like this are why you should be different. Why should you be scared or care about someone who is so insecure with themselves they feel the need to go out of their way to put others down? Look, we're all human. I don't care how much you try not to. We naturally judge people. It's something our primal monkey brain just naturally does. But to go out of your way and put someone down for trying in life, like, what are you doing? I feel sorry for you, bro. Like, your life is so pathetic that you're hating on someone else's. This is something I see on the regular at adult daycare, aka work. I was at work on my lunch break sitting in my car trying to think of video ideas when all of a sudden I see something in my side view mirror. It's some guy. Like, what is this guy doing? Like, what is happening? Bro was going hard as fuck during his lunch break working out. And it wasn't some mediocre workout. Like, bro was going hard for 30 minutes straight on his lunch. Jump roping, sprints, squats, push ups, the whole 9 yards. I had so much respect for him in that moment, just getting after it with whatever time he had. But meanwhile, all the people coming outside from the corporate job are looking at this guy like he's nuts, like he's an idiot. You can see the judgment written on their faces. These bigwig corporate bosses in their suit and ties just thinking to themselves, why are you working out like this on your lunch? Are you crazy? In the middle of the parking lot, it's hot as fuck outside. Like, what is this guy doing? You can see all the questions popping into their brain as they're walking their fat asses to their cars. I respected bro so much in that moment because he wasn't letting people or the fear of judgment get in his way. He was just getting after it. For me, while I'm not afraid to be my authentic self, I would be lying to you if I told you other people's perceptions of me didn't matter at least a little bit. That's why it took me so long to even start this YouTube channel. Like, I wanted to start for years, but never had the courage. I didn't want to look stupid. I didn't want to be looked at as cringe. I didn't want to hear the opinions of others on what I was doing. But eventually the fear of not doing something because I cared about what others thought went away. And the fear of not doing what I wanted in life for the fear of being cringe became so much bigger. As far as I'm aware, we only have one of these things called life. We only have one chance at this life shit. And for people to spend it trying to fit in and be like other people is sad. I don't want to wake up one day knowing I was doing what other people wanted instead of what I wanted. If there is something that you want to do but you're holding back because of what others will say, that is not a good enough reason. What people say shouldn't matter to you. You need to stop limiting yourself to fit into other people's constrictions that in reality they're just putting on themselves but are projecting it onto others. Fitting in doesn't make sense. If someone doesn't like you for you, fuck them. We ball. With all that being said, if you made it this far in the video, I appreciate it. Let me know what you guys think. Be sure to like and comment, and I'll see you in the next video. Peace.